So welcome back to the channel, guys. So today I am just going to fire up this 4-span pivot that's just in front of me. Now, what I'm doing right now is just making up 4 rain gauges so that I can measure out what this irrigator is doing, and so we can see that it is accurately putting on water. We did test it last year, and we just want to double check that nothing has changed, the nozzles aren't wearing out and so forth. I'm 99% sure that it should be all good, but we just want to double check for our own peace of mind. So is what these essentially are. It's just a Waratah with a rain gauge that you can get from Mitre 10, cable tied onto it. And so the rain gauge sits right down at ground level, so it is getting basically all the water it can get from the irrigator into it. And so they will be dotted along the pivot. At no given point, they'll just be random points, but they'll all be in a line so that the pivot will walk over and finish putting water into them at the same time, so I can come and test them. So they're essentially just a means of peace of mind for us. So that's it there, simple as. You just knock the thing in with a hammer, and that Waratah is good and sturdy in the ground. So another little job they'll do while I'm at this end of the pivot is clean out the silt trap which is in the last tower, and then I will head to the generator which is at the tower of the pivot, put some diesel in it, and then we'll crank her up, and I'll show you guys how it all works, as a few of you may be interested on how a generator works on a center pivot. So I'll just get this one done and then we'll be on our way. Rightio guys, so I've topped her up with diesel, checked the engine oil and coolant, everything's all ready, there's no major leaks on her, so she can go for another 24 hours. And this thing is pretty damn cheap to run, given the fact that diesel, let's say it's $1, it should be about $1.50 per hour at the absolute maximum that this thing costs to run, as it just uses bugger all diesel. Servicing is minimal because the little thing's only sitting here doing 1500 revs its whole life. It's not like the engine's pulling a plough through the ground and working in dusty, dirty conditions. So anyway, we better get the thing going. So let's turn this isolator on so that the screen comes on. Now we just push this button here, just the yellow one, and then we walk around here to the pivot. So obviously I've got all the wires, we've got your high voltage cables all hooked in, turned on, we've got the trigger wire all hooked up to the system, and this trigger wire plays an important game to turning it on and off automatically. So essentially when the pivot shuts down at the end of its run, the generator will cool down and then shut itself off as well. But as what we do is we turn that off, flick that to start, the generator should crank up Here she does there. And I've fitted a flashing light to the top of it, just so that we can tell from the house in the yard that the generator is still there and going. So now obviously we've got to wait for it to warm up, get the computer running. So the reason why I fitted that light is that one morning my father got a phone call from the local Rinky irrigation dealer, Ray Main, and he said, your generator isn't, and he said, no it's not, it's up the farm. And they said, no it's not, we've got a call from Goffs. They have stated that your generator is sitting on the side of the road up by Methven. And before this trailer we had that generator sitting on an old 2.4 Hilux that was its sole use. And a month before the generator and truck was stolen, we couldn't find the key. We couldn't find the key anywhere. We hunted high and low, the normal hiding spot we had it in, and it was gone. So somebody, some lowlife, has decided that they want that Hilux. It was stolen and taken all the way up to Methven. Then they decided that the generator was too much weight, so they grabbed the strop that was holding the generator down, tied it around the power pole, and just drove forward, and the generator just dropped straight onto the ground off the deck of this Hilux. Now there's a couple of bends in the frame, but otherwise she's all good. She all still runs good as gold. But yeah, that's why we have that flashing beacon on the top. Computer's fired up, so we just push pump, get that going. It's on a Nelson valve, so that's obviously works off a solenoid. And then we want 10 mils and forward, which is around this way obviously, and the end gun should get going. And so once the water pressure has come up, I'll then flick this to run, as it's all safe to run, all the pressure sensors are happy and so forth. So flick it to run, and then it'll run all night, all the way around, and end up pointing that direction, and then it'll shut itself off once it gets to its barricade, which is right around here. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I will show you later on the rain gauge readings. So guys, welcome back. As you can see here, the pivot has moved across or over top of these rain gauges enough so that there is no more water spraying into the one closest into the tower. So they've all had what I would expect 10 mils put in them, as that's what I've set the irrigator to. So we'll go through and check every one and make sure that each section at a random given point is putting on 10 mils. Now if one is different, let's say it's 3 mils out or 5 mils out, I'll then retest it in a different situation, or I'll come back and check that individual, or those few individual drop hoses and sprinklers, to make sure that they are watering correctly and that there are no partial blockages in those nozzles. If the whole section, test after test after test, come back and the amount that the section is putting on is undesirable, so like if it's down 2 or 3 mils from what it should be, or even more, then we will have to put in new nozzles and put on more water or put on less water, given what the results are. But I tested this pivot last year and it was all good. It was just a little bit out, like of a mil here or a mil there, nothing to write home about. So hopefully it's the same again and the nozzles haven't worn out, but we'll go along and check them all. Okay, so while I'm here I might as well check this one, and as you can see there, that is 9.5, 10 mils. So I am definitely not going to be complaining about that one. I'm pretty happy with that. So no point in going any further with that one. That's close enough. Right, on to the next one. Here we are at the next one. What's that one, Millie? Oh, no. This one is slightly less at 9 mils. So that is a little bit down, but once again, nothing to really write home about. So before I forget, I better tell you guys that this isn't compliant. So it isn't compliant in the way that it is official. It is just a great way for us to test that our irrigators are doing what we want them to do, and it's quick and easy and pretty much would be effective if you found a problem. So the best way to test your irrigator is to do the bucket test. I believe there is an app. Your irrigation scheme or provider should know what I'm talking about, and they'll be able to lead you in the right direction. So but this rain gauge is just so simple and so effective that I just like to do it every now and then, just to check that the irrigators are putting on exactly what we want, and so that we're not over irrigating and washing away nutrients, effectively money as well. So we better move on to the next one because we're burning daylight. As you can see, that soil is really good, nice and topped up. So it's 9.5. So definitely not disappointed with that. It's just got those normal nozzles on that we tend to like, spindle type. And yeah, once again, that soil is all nice and topped up. So guys, here we are at the last but not least rain gauge. This is definitely going to be an interesting test because, as you can see, these sprinklers are different to the other ones that flick and spindle, and so I'm actually really quite interested to see what this test is. So with no avail, that is doing 9, so it is slightly down, but yeah, nothing to really write home about and nothing to get scared of. So I'm actually quite happy with that. Obviously the whole pivot has been nozzled correctly by the manufacturer and provider, so that's really good. So I'm quite happy with that. Just a simple, easy, quick test, and we can carry on with our day. All I did was, well, I spent more time filming it of anything, and all it took was just a hammer, a few Waratahs, some rain gauges, knock them in the ground, and then come back in a couple of hours time. Yeah, couldn't get any more easier than that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed watching it, let me know by flicking that like button, and so I know in the future where to go. I better get on with my day, but anyway, cheers for watching, and yeah, we'll see you around.